Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today is Tuesday, February the 28th, 2023. It's 9 a.m. and we're in the Central Jury Room of the Ralph H. Walton Jr. Justice Center at 1200 West Pearl Street in Granbury, Texas. Today we're very pleased to have with us Pastor Jacob Stump of Calvary Baptist Church of Granbury. You see me, I almost said Calvary Baptist Church. We were talking about my aunt. But the Calvary Church of Granbury here today to give us the invocation. Pastor Stump.
Heavenly Father, we come before you today, and by beginning our proceedings today with prayer, we recognize your sovereignty, we hallow your name, and we invite your presence into these proceedings today. Lord, you are the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, the Almighty Creator of heaven and earth. When John looked into heaven, he saw one throne and one who sat upon the throne. You are not a God among a pantheon of gods, but you are God alone. And today we come before you. You said, if my people which are called by my name would humble themselves and pray and seek my face, that you would hear from heaven, that you would forgive our sins, that you would heal our land. And so today, God, we speak your name over this court, over this county, and over our community. Lord Jesus, we ask today humbly that you would forgive us of our sins and that you would give us the grace and strength to turn from any wicked way. And Lord, not only do we seek your face, God, for our county and for our court today, Lord, but we seek your face for our state and for our nation. Lord, we humbly pray, God, that you would move among our nation. Lord, that you would restore our hunger again and our thirst for you. As you have moved in places like Asbury University in Wilmington, Kentucky, and in cities across our nation, Lord God, we ask that there would be a spiritual renewal in our county and in our cities. Lord, that you would draw us back to you again, for you inhabit our hunger, and you are enthroned upon our thirst. And Lord, make us hungry and thirsty for you again today. Jesus, we ask that you would bless our homes with your mercy, that you would bless our churches with revival, and that you would bless this courtroom today with your grace, mercy, and wisdom. Bless our officials, bless our people. We give you all praise and honor. In the name of Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen.
Amen. You'll join me in the Pledge of the United States of America. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now pledge great Texas.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Okay, we're very pleased to make this next presentation here. We got royalty among us here today. Two of the former bean queens of Granbury are here to make a proclamation declaring April Child Abuse Prevention Month. So we got a wonderful, outstanding, where's the bean queen? I don't even, where, come on up here. So we have Miss Jean Kate, and we have the Paluxy Child Prevention. We got everybody. We got CASA. We've got everybody up here.
Children Advocacy Center.
And I'm going to hand this to, it's been signed by the judge and all the commissioners here, and let Miss Jean Kate read this to all of you.
I'll get my glasses.
You get the pretty one, and we'll take the one copy underneath it. Where it's okay. As long as it is.
To delegate April as Child Abuse Awareness Month. Whereas nearly 251,000 children in Texas were reported as abused or neglected last year, And whereas child abuse prevention is a community responsibility and finding solutions depends on involvement among all people. And whereas communities must make every effort to promote programs that benefit children and their families. And whereas effective child abuse prevention programs succeed because of partnerships among agencies such as the CAC, CASA, Mission Granbury. Whereas everyone in the community should become more aware of child abuse prevention and consider helping parents raise their children in a safe, nurturing environment. Now therefore, the Hood County Commissioners Court does hereby proclaim the month of April 2023 as Child Abuse Prevention Month and urges all citizens to work together to help reduce child abuse and neglect significantly in the years to come. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay.
May we take a picture?
Yes. You have any other words that all of y'all would like to say, because y'all all work together?
It is, well, we're number 9 on getting permission for things.
Okay.
So
All right.
we'll be back later.
Y'all gonna be back later?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, would y'all like for us to come down for a photo?
Oh, please.
That would be
Okay.
awesome.
Yes.
It's here.
I'll accept one.
You can get right here. Yeah, here you bring the proclamation. A bunch of people.
Everybody seems very dressed up today. Excluding me, of course.
Okay, before we get into the service awards, I want to remind everybody that if you want to speak, you have to fill out a public participation form, hand it to Sheriff Deeds, and Sheriff Deeds will then hand it to Ms. Lang, and Ms. Lang will number it and put you in line up here to give your speech or say what you'd like to say. Okay, so the next are the service awards. Ms. Melissa Welburn.
Good morning. Paula Griffith was not able to attend this morning, but we do have Rachel Miller here. She works for the jail as a nurse.
Okay, is she here? All right, there, okay.
She needs more than this, working 10 years with inmates. There you are. Thank you.
Okay, next, you have one, is that the only one you have? Okay. All right, now the citizens at large. Here, let me make sure I've got them. Okay, this is now on for the open mic. The first speaker is Greg Harrell.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. First of all, I want to thank all of you for giving us all this opportunity to speak before you each morning. I know that when you come here, that it's sometimes difficult to, I guess I would use the term, face the music from the public. And I've attended a lot of these meetings, and I've watched each of you as you sit here and receive, well, really the spectrum of comments from the public, and you face it all with grace, and I appreciate that. I want you to know that when we, the public, come before you like this, it's not always to bring something that's terrible or bad or even of huge concern. So I won't take up much of your time this morning. I just really want to make a declaration over each and every one of you as the leaders of this county. In 1 Samuel chapter 12, the prophet of the Lord Samuel is actually installing a new form of government. The children of Israel are moving from a judge's form of government, and they're going to have a king appointed over them. And as the king is prepared to be installed, Samuel speaks over the people, and he says these words. And it's a word for not only the king, but the people as well. He says, "Only fear the Lord and serve him in all truth with all of your heart, and consider all the things the Lord has done for you." So my prayer, my wish, my direction over each and every one of you is that you would fear the Lord as you make decisions for this county, that you would serve him with all of your heart and in truth, and that you would rejoice for the fact that we live here in this great land and the Lord has done great things for us. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next is Tina Brown.
Good morning. The first thing I'd like to address is something I've addressed many times, and that is, why is there one county employee being paid more than every other county employee who did the same job? The county clerk manipulated this court into authorizing her to hire a specialist after she refused to do her job and basically held the county hostage. It is my understanding that the county already has a Tyler specialist in the IT department who can or already is handling much of this for the county clerk's office anyway. Since Ms. Ling didn't actually hire a specialist as the court approved, I would like to see one of you step up to the plate and put this on the agenda for discussion with possible action of eliminating this unneeded position. Second, I'd like to thank Dave Eagle for speaking up and calling out another elected official on what he perceived as wrongdoing. While I don't share his opinion or his definition of hypocrisy, I support his right to speak up. I'm sure I'm not the only person here who has seen the many posts and comments on social media about many of our elected officials and their supposed wrongdoings. I don't know how much of any of this is true, but I do know that most elected officials are not speaking for or against any of it. This makes the public wonder, what side of the fence are you sitting on? If you're not part of this, if you're not doing anything, you're part of the problem, not part of the solution. And finally, I'd like to find out what we can do about cleaning up our county roads of the garbage. So if anyone has any suggestions, I'd love to talk to you, maybe a community effort, but the roads in this county are full of trash, and it is not a good look for Hood County. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Brad Yarborough.
Good morning. Judge, Commissioners, I'm sad to have to stand before you with a heavy heart once again. It hurts for this community and it hurts for this Commissioner's Court. But when you're faced with working with someone like my Commissioner who does no wrong in his point of view and only wants to drumbeat negativity against others and reflecting his own shortcomings, there isn't much hope for getting along. And people in my precinct, number 4, we encourage you to hold the line of decency. We know it's not your fault. The citizens have been asked to stay on topic at these meetings. Now I respectfully ask my Commissioner to follow these same rules in the community. If you want to take up theater, the Opera House is right down the road. You pass it to and from Lipan every day. Lord knows there's plenty of work to be done in the county. We're a growing community and it's only going to get busier from here. Perhaps you could all come together and accomplish the goals of the community through county government. But my Commissioner rather start controversy at other public meetings and threaten to sue the city if he doesn't meet his demands. Is being Commissioner not fulfilling enough? Is chasing 5 minutes of fame worth the embarrassment for you and for our community? Dave, based on your actions, it seems very difficult for you, and I would ask, with all due respect to the office, please stop the games. Please stop the drama and get to work with the little time you have left as Commissioner. We are paying you a premium to do so, so at least you could do is try. I'd like to speak a little bit about the school board meeting that they had the other day. Biggers mentioned that they formed a coalition to watch all you elected officials. Well, I need to inform him and the other elected officials there's a bigger coalition watching everyone. It's called the Killer Well Group. And we're not going to stop exposing you for not doing your job and causing drama at every point you get. So that's all I have. Thank you, Judge, Commissioners, thank you.
Thank you. Next, Dr. Harold Granick.
Thank you, Judge and Commissioners. I'll be brief. I just note on the financial statements that there are several that are not received now, but most notably is we've not seen for several months a financial report from the county clerk's office. It's hard to follow things without such a financial statement. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Jessica Hall.
Hello, thank you. Last time we spoke regarding the Yellow Viking 2 development, I cited a recent peer-reviewed study titled A Summary of Bird Mortality backed by solar energy companies. Based on that study and the size of a 330 megawatt farm, we can conclude that this solar farm will kill countless birds annually. Again, I'd like to point out that these birds' fatalities will be a yearly occurrence happening for the lifetime of the solar farm. In particular, I and many others living in Pecan have spotted the beautiful bald eagles nesting and flying over the Brazos River between the areas known as Sandy Beach and the clubhouse. This section of the river will be the most heavily impacted by this enormous solar facility, with many parts of the project that could possibly come 600 feet or less from the bank of Sandy Beach and resident property per Google Maps. This would greatly impact any bald eagles that nest and hunt along this section of the river. Let's talk about the noise pollution that this large facility will be generating. First, I live directly across from Cowtown Gas Plant, which runs nearly every night and sounds like someone is vacuuming next to you. Along with hearing the plant all the time, you can also hear the big trucks driving up and down the road traveling to that plant. So I can be pretty sure that the noise emitting from this proposed solar site will have an extremely negative effect on my family's quality of life. I, for one, cannot imagine listening to any more noise coming from across that river. People deserve to live in relative peace. Contrary to popular belief, solar farms are not in fact quiet. The surrounding infrastructure required for these facilities routinely produce a varying range of noises. These include noisy inverters, which produce a very loud tonal sound, transformers, high voltage transformers, substations, battery storage, management buildings, numerous cooling fans, not to mention the vast amount of construction needed including landscaping, tree clearing, mulching, possible rock blasting, excavation for underground cables, and pile drivers used to install the posts for the solar panels. Based on the Texas Tax Code, Section 312.0025, designation of reinvestment zone by school district, Section B, the governing body of the school district may seek the recommendation of the commissioners court for each county and the governing body for each municipality that has territory in the school district before designating an area as a reinvestment zone under subsection A. Therefore, I am asking for your help in going to the Glen Rose ISD and speaking with the authorized school district representative, Trig Overbo, to present the numerous concerns regarding the Yellow Viking Development 2 that many residents of Hood County have been brought to the attention of the commissioners over the past few months, including the signed petitions of over 1,000 residents strongly opposing this solar farm development, as well as requesting the Glen Rose School ISD to stop and/or to rescind any and all contracts or negotiations that the Yellow Viking Development 2 project has entered into. At best, this project provides little to no benefit to Hood County monetarily or otherwise. At worst, they will leave our county with a toxic, hazardous wasteland good for nothing. Again, my family and I say no to the reinvestment zone and no to the tax abatement for this company. And I personally am praying that this solar company just is moved somewhere else or does not come to fruition in Jesus' name. And I just want to thank you for your time and letting me come and speak today. Thank you.
All of the open mic questions, anybody think they've signed up and not? Okay, the next item is the consent agenda. Does any commissioner wish to pull anything or have any questions about anything on the consent agenda? Not, do I hear an appropriate motion?
Yes, I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, a motion been made by Commissioner Wilson to approve the consent agenda, second by Commissioner Eagle. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries 5-0. Next, we have no road items, Mr. Donald Lenny, but we do have some development. Mr. Clint Head.
Morning, Judge. Morning, Commissioners. First thing I have today is development has accepted an application for a replat of Deer Valley Estates, tracks 3R and 6R in Precinct 1. Staff recommends setting the public hearing for the March 28th Commissioners Court.
March 28th, 2023. Okay. Do I hear a motion to accept the public hearing for March 28, 2023?
Yes, sir, Judge, I'll make that motion to set a public hearing for Deer Valley Estates, track 3R and 6R.
A motion been made by Commissioner Andrews to set the public hearing for March 28, 2023.
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Samuelson. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0.
The next item we have is the final plat that was presented to the court and denied on June 14, 2022 of Queen J Edition, lots 1 through 6 in Block 1 and Precinct 1. We're here today to discuss and consider approving it for filing. The property is located at 9351 Colony Road, Tolar, Texas. The final plat is located in the rural district in Precinct 1 and will be creating 6 2.16 acre lots out of the J. Howard Survey Abstract Number 222. These lots will be served by well and on-site sewage facilities. There are no streets proposed to be constructed with this final plat. The lot will be accessing existing county-maintained road, Colony Road. This plat was denied on June 14th for failing to address comments related to development, and there was a whole list of comments. But now we're in accordance with Section 232.0026 of the Local Government Code. A written statements of these reasons for disapproval was provided that included citations of the law and regulations that it was not in compliance with on June 15th. Section 232.0027 of the Local Government Code does not allow a court to establish a deadline to address this response. That's why it's just now coming. So Section 232.0028C, Commissioners Court, I can read it all. The that receives a response under 232-0027 shall approve a previously condition approved or disapproved plat application if the applicant's response adequately addresses each condition for the denial. So all the comments have been addressed, all the reasons for denial have been addressed, and now it's up to the court to approve it to be filed.
Okay, any questions or discussion?
I think he covered it, everything's been addressed and dealt with, so. So Judge, with that, I'll make a motion to approve the final plat of Queen J Edition for recording according to LGC 232.028C.
A motion been made by Commissioner Andrews to approve the final plat of Queen J Edition and Precinct 1. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Eagle. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Okay, next we have financial. Ms. Becky Kidd.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. For today, you have expenditures in the amount of $1,679,597,052. The Auditor's Office has reviewed all the invoices related to this total cost, and we recommend payment. You've also been given a list of payments over $10,000, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Any questions or discussions? If not, do I hear a motion to pay the bills?
Yeah, Judge,
That we pay the invoices in the amount of $1,679,597.52.
second.
A motion been made by Commissioner Wilson to pay the invoices in the amount of $1,679,597.52, second by Commissioner Andrews. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0.
The next item for your consideration are the monthly reports. We've received these, reviewed them, and ask that you accept the ones that have been presented to your offices.
Okay. Is there any discussion or comment about the financial reports?
On the justice of the peace, what's the resolution for the three that are, there's system issues, or what, is there a resolution for that?
As far as I know, that has been resolved, and those reports should be forthcoming.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion or comment? If not, do I hear appropriate motion?
Yeah, Judge, I'll move that we approve the reports that have been received and reviewed as presented.
Second.
A motion made by Commissioner Andrews to approve the financial reports received and reviewed by the Audit Department, second by Commissioner Eagle. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kidd. Okay, now this brings us down to miscellaneous. And the first item is consider and take appropriate action to approve the reappointment to the Hood County Historical Commission for 2023 to 2024 for Sylvia Hickey. Is there any discussion about this appointment for Ms. Hickey? If not, do I hear motion?
I move that we approve the reappointment of Sylvia Hickey to the Hood County Historical Commission for 2023-2024.
Second.
Second.
A motion been made by Commissioner Wilson to approve the reappointment to the Hood County Commissioner Historical Commission for 2023 to 2024 for Sylvia Hickey, second by Commissioner Andrews. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Item number 2, discuss and take appropriate action to appoint Tracy Meyer to the Board of Directors of the Hood County Development District Number 1 to fill the seat vacated by Pat Bergman. Any discussion?
Yes, Ms. Bergman had chose to no longer be involved with Hood County Development District 1, and Tracy Meyer has been appointed by the Board of Directors and accepted the position.
Any further discussion? If not, do I hear motion?
Yes, I move that we approve the appointment of Tracy Meyer to the Board of Directors for the Hood County Development District 1 and to fill the seat vacated by Pat Bergman.
A second.
A motion made by Commissioner Wilson to approve the appointment of Tracy Meyer to the Board of Directors of the Hood County Development District Number 1, vacated by Pat Bergman, second by Commissioner Samuelson. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Next, item number 3, discuss and take appropriate action to approve a 911 operator position from TICO 1, Step 1, $43,430 to no higher than TICO Roman numeral 1, Step 4, $46,550. This request is to allow for higher pay to be offered to applicants with telecommunicator experience. Budget to support the increase has been confirmed. If an experienced operator is not hired, the applicant will be hired as a Step 1. We got Assistant Chief here, Steve Smith.
Judge, Commissioners, thank you. Items 3 and 4 are very similar. It's just two different pays on it. County policy states that we can hire somebody in up to a Step 6 if the funds are available, and they are available. We have spoke with Becky on this. We have 2 interested applicants with quite a bit of experience for our 2 open positions, and we're simply asking to approve the open positions up to a Step 4 on one and a Step 6 on the other, to be able to hire these experienced applicants from another county to come over.
So we're poaching an experienced operator from another county.
We are too.
I like that, 2 of them. Okay, great. That's good.
Yeah, and Judge, I'd like to throw in there that there have been some changes in the Sheriff's Department, and I think we're working, this is working the way that we wanted it to work, where if someone leaves at a higher rate and we bring someone in at a lower rate, they're put on the chart, on the scale where they're supposed to be based on that experience and paid accordingly. Now, with that said, right at this moment, right now, I believe the salary budget, talking to Kim this morning, the salary budget is about $7,000 below where we started the year because we lost some higher paid ones that had been replaced with something a little bit lower. So this is working very well, and I support getting people on the chart where they're supposed to be, and if we get somebody with experience, we know what we're getting. Dispatch that's a tough thing to walk into. You can go sit in classes and everything else and get on the job. I think that happened. Get on the job for a week and go, nope, not me, got to go. And we've lost all that. So I think that by bringing these on with experiences, this is benefiting everybody in the county. So.
I have a question. I was talking to Sean earlier, and now I'm confused by your statement. I understood that there had not been a job posted yet, and there weren't any applicants.
They're waiting for this to get approved before they apply.
So, okay, so that's different. But so when I was talking to Sean, the question was, if you posted at the position that left, so 2 people left that were Step 1s.
Yes, ma'am.
And practice has been to post the job at the same level that the person left. So what you're asking to do, if I understand this correctly, is instead of doing that, post the job at a higher level in hopes of attracting a more experienced person.
I'm actually just asking to post the job, period, and then depending on the type of applicants we get we would have the ability to hire them in at higher than a Step 1. I'm not sure jobs get posted as a step, they just get posted as a position, is that correct?
We usually start with the base pay and list the base pay and then or DOE.
Or depending on
Experience. Okay, so, and I did check around, and definitely I understand that 911, very special person to be able to handle that job. It's a very difficult job. Life and death, as everyone knows, is on the line right there. And that there was some recognition of that last year when the salary levels were bumped up to be market. And checking around several neighboring counties, we are at market. We are right there. In fact, we're a little above a couple of Other places, Palo Pinto County is starts at 18.2 an hour, and ERAF currently doesn't have any openings showing up on their public website for 911 operators, so wasn't able to.
We're in a good spot right now.
Yes, I feel like with the adjustments that were made last year to the salary levels, that we're very competitive with neighboring.
And we appreciate it.
Neighboring counties of our size. Not compared to Tarrant County, but we all know that that's a different story.
Sure.
This kid had something she wanted to.
I just want everybody to understand the difference between money in the bank and budgets. You have sufficient money in the bank. Your budget will be shorter than what it should be, less, but I'm going to do a line item transfer to present in the next court. I talked with Ms. Samuelson about making sure that Fund 83, we want to bring that up to date, and I will have that done before tomorrow, just to show you where, well, you already have that, and then Fund 55. When you plan budgets 2 months, 3 months in advance, you have to guess. Later down the road, you can do more of an actual, but for this purpose, come budget time, if we don't increase this, and you and I had this conversation earlier, if I don't get this budget increased properly to the salaries that you approved today, then you're going to go, Becky, why is there such an increase between where we were and where we want to be?
Yes, and that's my comment for, not that I don't support bringing in 911 operators and making sure that we are protecting the county with the most qualified people. My concern is for the 2023-24 budget. If, the budget's there now, I understand that, but that's going to make us start the 2023-24 budget at a higher level than was planned when this budget was set. And so I just really think that we need to honor the discipline of the budget process and honor that and make sure that we are doing the right thing for the taxpayers as far as the budget goes. And we have, as I mentioned, we have done something really good for the county as far as bringing those salaries up to market. And Sean I had asked him to also bring at some point in the near future what has happened with our turnover ratio since that happened. I think that would be a great story to say, here's where we were, and now since that adjustment was made, here's the impact that that's had on the turnover ratio and the retention of our 911 operators. Hopefully that's a good story, and I think that'd be great to hear.
And I just want to help you guys.
Thank you.
We appreciate that.
Any other comment? If not, do I hear an appropriate motion?
Yeah, Judge, I approve that we allow a 911 operator position to be paid up to step 4, $46,550.
Okay, I hear a second.
Second.
A motion been made by Commissioner Andrews to approve a 911 operator position from step 1, $43,430 to step 4, $46,550, second by Commissioner Eagle. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay.
Nay, for reasons stated regarding the budget.
Motion carries 4-1. Okay, item number 4. Is this the same thing that you were going to say?
Same story, different numbers.
Same story, different numbers. Okay, we've had this. Any further discussion about item number 4? If not, do I hear a motion?
Judge, I'll make a motion that we allow 911 dispatch to hire up to a step 6 at $48,630.
Second.
A motion made by Commissioner Andrews to hire another 911 operator from a step 1 from $43,430 to a step 6 at $48,630, second by Commissioner Wilson. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay.
Nay, same reason.
A motion carries 4-1.
Thank you.
Okay. Now we got another, here we,
Yes,
now
sir.
we got, okay. All right, item number 5, discuss and take appropriate action to move a current 911 operator with 11 years, 2 months telecommunication experience from a TCO 1, Step 2, $44,470, to a TICO Roman numeral II, step 1, to $53,830. Budget to support the increase has been confirmed. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Sean McGuire, I'm the Hood County Sheriff's Office Dispatch Supervisor. So I have a dispatcher who was here before, left, went to Weatherford PD, was there for a couple years, and now she's back. When we hired her, we brought her back as a step 2 because that's the position we had available. And I'm just trying to make it equal across the board, put her at the pay grade that she needs to be at.
I'm impressed with that 11 years and 2 months.
She was here when I started, and she actually trained me, so she's been around the block a couple years.
Okay. So you're recommending this is a good move?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other discussion or comment? Do I hear a motion?
Yeah, Judge, I'll make the motion that we move the current operator to step 2, or no, step telecommunication officer 2, step 1 at $53,830, based on experience.
Second that one.
Okay. A motion been made by Commissioner Andrews to move a current 911 operator from a TICO Roman numeral 1, step 2, to a TICO Roman numeral 2, step 1, to $53,830. Any further discussion or comment?
Yes, I do. I have a comment. So I've had quite a bit of conversations with HR and Becky and Sean about this. And again, my concern is for the budget, and I really think this needs to be addressed in the upcoming budget. The person did accept the job last year at the current pay grade that was offered, and so I just think that this is something that needs to be handled in the budget process.
Any other comment or question or discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
Nay.
I didn't hear your...
Yes.
Yes? Okay, motion carries 3-2. Okay, that's it.
Thank you, sir.
y'all very
Thank you
much.
very much.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Steve. Okay, item number 6.
So this is something that I put on the agenda, and it just came up once before when there was discussion about rearranging the agenda in the prior court, and then I did get some feedback from last court about the length of the court, and it reminded me about this comment that someone had brought up before. And I thought, that's a really good idea, that we should put the things that our people want to talk about, they want to sign up to comment about, closer to the front of the agenda, and move the routine county business further down in the agenda. So that's what this is doing, is moving the miscellaneous items right after public comments and then followed by the remainder of the agenda. So I think it would serve the public to be able to come in and speak on the things that are changes to the budget, like we've just heard, policy changes. There's many things that impact the taxpayers in the miscellaneous sections that they may want to come and speak about. So I thought I'd put it out there if people want to. I don't know if anyone signed up to talk about this or not. If so, then yeah, let's hear it.
Okay, the first speaker is Steve Biggers.
Thank you, Court. I appreciate this time to certainly speak. I appreciate you, Ms. Samuelson, putting this on here. This was brought up, as you said, last court when there was some talk about moving just the public comments, open mic time. And a lot of that defense for doing that, when Commissioner Wilson brought that up, was to save money, to save the time, to save the taxpayers because of the staff that's sitting here. And since that time, I've observed, I come to most courts, and I've observed it quite frequently, none of these people leave. You guys are done. Mr. Head's done, road ops are done. Why are they still here? So what money are you saving? Really, you're still hanging around. And today we had 4 speakers that took a total of 18 minutes in the public comments, the open mic time. That's not a lot of time in the reality of spending money for the county. But what I like about doing this, and this was an avenue that I brought up when we talked about open comments moving, was to move miscellaneous, and I actually think it ought to be named something else, submitted items or submitted agenda items, because people, this is not miscellaneous stuff. This is important stuff, budget stuff. And I kudos to you again, Ms. Samuelson, for doing this, and you also brought up the open mic on all agenda times. That is servant leadership. That's absolutely servant leadership. That's what you guys are called to do, is to be servant leaders. You come to us, the public, vote for me, vote for me, vote for me, and then don't expect to hear from us from 4 years because you're doing your thing. This is absolutely how it should work, how servant leaders should be able to serve. You're bringing up budget concerns. That's servant leadership. That's the process of how the budget should go, and stick to those kinds of things. I understand things come up, Commissioner Andrews. I understand. You and I have had conversations about that, and I like that whole padding the budget thing to be able to adjust for more qualified people. But you're recognizing us, the people, that put you up there, and to give us the appropriate amount of time, because we take out of our day where we're not getting paid for some of these people that are coming. I have the luxury of being retired. A lot of people that come don't, and they have to take off time or they have to miss time, and they aren't getting paid where these people are still getting paid sitting up here. So for the naysayers, this won't interrupt things. This won't delay things. This is going to be said anyway, and these people stay all the way through the existing miscellaneous item times. They don't leave and go back to work. I've never seen them do that. So kudos. I hope you all agree with this. I think Commissioner Andrews, you and I were in agreement on this earlier when we talked about moving the public comments or the open mic comments to the end. It's a good thing. It's a recognition that you guys recognize that you serve us out here. So thank you.
Speaker is Dr. Harold Granick.
Thank you, Judge, Commissioners. I'll try to be brief here. I agree with some of the changes. I think the open mic should be at the end. I remember the discussion when this came up before, and it was that citizens who come to talk are taking off work, as with Mr. Biggers and I, with the luxury of not working. But the miscellaneous, quote, miscellaneous items are things that are actionable, and they should be in front. The open mic issue should be later. The awards thing should be early on, because those are awards of people who are actually working and can go back. Most of the standard things can go either way. So I think open mic should be at the end. Miscellaneous and such should be earlier on, so that y'all can hear from the public. The open mic things are hearing from the public, but there's nothing actionable about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that's the only speakers that I do have. Is there any other comment or questions from the commissioners?
Yeah, I would. I am in favor of this idea. I like the idea of the public being able to come in and say their piece with as little a drain on their time as possible. I think as far as, one of the things that I've mentioned in the past is sometimes if somebody comes up and says something on an open mic, these people sitting here are the experts in the county at dealing with a lot of these situations, and a lot of times we'll need their feedback and allow them to hear what's going on, what's being said, how we need to address these things. So I'm in favor of this idea. Let's let people come in and do the business with the county that they need to do, and then get back to work and do what they need to do. So.
Any other commissioner wish to make any comment? Have any question?
All right, I'll make a motion to change the order of the Commissioners Court agenda to place miscellaneous agenda items as number 7, directly followed by 6A, citizens' comments at large, and B, citizens' comments pertaining to agenda items only. The consent agenda would become item 8, and the agenda items that follow remain unchanged other than being renumbered.
Second.
Okay, motion been made by Commissioner Samuelson to change the order placing the citizens' comments prior to the miscellaneous agenda items, and putting miscellaneous agenda items last, right? And they,
No.
No, moving the miscellaneous item up,
back as the last agenda item, second by Commissioner Andrews. Any other discussion or comment? The only thing I'd like to say is that the consent agenda normally takes less than a minute. Just like this morning, I don't even think it took a minute, is that the commissioners all have the consent agenda items. We study it, we look at it. We know if we have a question, we can ask it. But 95% of the time, there are no questions concerning the consent agenda. If there are any, we take it up immediately. But I think in the over 4 years that I've been here, that the consent agenda has never occupied more than 1 or 2 minutes at the most. So I don't see personally the reason why we have to change the order of that.
well, and I think,
It's never, am I correct on that?
well, and it's not just the consent agenda, it's everything from consent agenda to miscellaneous. So it's development, it's road ops, it's
Finance.
everything involved in that. So it's taking the miscellaneous section and putting it in front of the consent agenda.
Front of the consent agenda and then the business section also. It's just,
Yes, you want to speak? You are the treasurer. Yes, ma'am.
The only thing I do want to say about consent agenda, sorry, is when we do consent agenda, like busy weeks, when we have Commissioner Court and payroll, it is really hard sometimes to have to stay until the end. You'll see me sometimes leave because we do have to do payroll and we do have to do Commissioner's Court, the checks. So it does make it a little bit hard to rearrange it to the end for my office. Sorry.
Any other comment? If not, all those in favor of changing the agenda as prescribed by and moved by Commissioner Samuelson and second by Commissioner Andrews, say aye.
aye.
All those against, say nay. Nay. So I guess this carries 4-1. All right. Item number 7, discuss and take appropriate action to approve the interlocal agreement with the City of Granbury to construct a turn lane at the intersection of Acton Highway and Highway 4. Precinct 3, Commissioner.
Yes, this was an item that we addressed at the last court due to some of the verbiage in the interlocal. It was revised. All this is a revision to the interlocal situation at Acton Highway and Highway 4 is a continual traffic issue and nightmare for a lot of people that travel that both city and county. The city, that intersection is barely in the city of Granbury city limits. And talking with TxDOT for well over a year now, we have, got to the point where they are saying we really don't have the money, but if the county can put the turn lane in, which has to be 440 feet, turn lane added to that intersection coming off of Acton Highway onto Highway 4 for a right turn, they have a mechanism and a means to get the traffic control lights and, turn control installed. That would, their plan is, if we do that, then they have another mechanism to install, the lights at that intersection, therefore reducing the number of wrecks that are there and multiple injuries. As I stated in last court, I was not the first on scene, but a second or third, both in a 5-vehicle accident in September of last year and a 3-vehicle accident in September and December of last year, of which there were major injuries. One person had to be airlifted, others had to be, ground transported into Fort Worth. By adding this will alleviate a lot of the traffic issues right there at that heavily trafficked intersection. And all this is, some reverbiage of the interlocal agreement. The city has already approved it and signed it. And, that's what this is for, is to authorize the county judge to sign that revised interlocal agreement for this effort.
Okay, we have one speaker up here, Jim Jarrett.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Court. I wanted to just come and say thank you about the number 7 here, but before I do, I'd like to say thank you for the videoing and the recording of these meetings, because the prayer that Pastor Stump gave this morning should be played again and again and again. I mean, he hit it out of the ballpark as far as I'm concerned. His words are right on. But I just want to say thank you to the court for the reconsidering the changes that the city felt needed to be made in this document, and to continue to push forward with it. Things are coming along just as we've talked about on the Highway 377 effort, is that there will be opportunities that come up over the next few years, and if we, the city and the county, are ready, we will be able to grab those opportunities, and this is exactly one of those opportunities. Commissioner Wilson has just stayed on top of it, as is your predecessor, Commissioner Samuelson, and now then you, staying right in the middle of this. The city stepped up, and the state stepped forward and said, hey, we've got some time, we've got some money, if you can do this. And the city and the county, working together, which we're going to have to be doing over the next 4 years on a lot of these types of projects, have made this happen. And I just want to say thank you. I appreciate your tenacity among many things here, but I also appreciate your consideration on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Chris Kaufman, would you like to say something? Since you're the man, the money bags here, you do have a check with you, don't you?
I want to say I appreciate the 49,000 that the 4,900.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So thank y'all as judge, commissioners. Appreciate this opportunity to do an interlocal agreement with you. We do this at the dispatch. We do this, it's the other way around, but we appreciate the service. The wording of the last one was just a little confusing. We wanted to clear that up on the indemnity part of it, and I think we've all come to an agreement there. And like the mayor said, this is the first of many. I simply came to answer any questions if there was any. I didn't really think I needed to get up and give you a sales pitch. It is saving lives, and that's public safety. That's what we're all about. So y'all have any questions for me?
I just wanted to make it easier for you to drop the check off.
Yes, sir.
All right.
I've had that check for a little while, so I'm glad to finally get to deliver it, and I'm looking forward to getting the project. I don't know if y'all realize it or not, but an intersection light like what we're talking about, it's going to cost the state anywhere from $300,000 to $400,000. So it's a big chunk of money that they've committed to spend at that intersection. It is a problem. We have other intersections too that have just as much problem, but this is one that we can address in low-hanging fruit. So let's keep moving forward. Looking forward to our March 22nd interlocal meeting at City Hall. And if you have some agenda items, please send them to us so we can add them to our agenda.
Perfect.
Thank y'all.
I agree with both of you gentlemen. We're going to work together. That's how we can best do things to accomplish good things for the county and city.
You got a question, Commissioner Eagle?
Yeah, I'm just making sure he's through.
Oh.
Okay. I just wanted to point out that I appreciate y'all working with us on this, and I wanted to give you a little heads up. There's several issues going on north of the lake on 51. There's a new Tommy's coming in, and I've got Ms. Horner. She's been working with us actually all the way up 51 past Atwood. And so I may be, just giving you a heads up. I appreciate y'all working with us, and I want to, you'll probably be seeing me to talk to you about some ideas of maybe doing some widening out turn lanes, et cetera, up north of the lake bridge.
Looking forward to that. And anytime we can partner and do something on a regional basis, We love it, and it does the whole county good. You know, our citizens are county citizens too, and this shows us working together and spending some of their resources that they give you. It helps, and we appreciate it. We really do. Any
Thank
more
you.
questions? I don't want to run out my time here, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So I do hear a motion.
Yes, I move that we approve the interlocal agreement with the City of Granbury to construct a turn lane at the intersection of Acton Highway and Highway 4.
Second.
A motion is made by Commissioner Wilson to approve the interlocal agreement with the City of Granbury to construct a turn lane at the intersection of Acton Highway and Highway 4, second by Commissioner Eagle, Commissioner Samuelson, and Commissioner Andrews. Any further discussion? Huh?
You only have 1 second.
I know I just said that.
Yes, he was.
Any further comment? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you very much. All right, item number 8, public hearing to discuss and adopt the 2023-2025 Hood County Tax Abatement Guidelines. So at this time, it being 3 minutes after 10, we're going to adjourn this or convene this Commissioners Court into a public hearing. Okay? Now, we got some speakers lined up. We want to go ahead and take the speakers first. Number 1 is Robert Tabor.
Thank you, Judge, Commissioners, for the opportunity to speak with you this morning. I've reviewed the abatement guidelines that you have established. It's been in force, I think, for the last couple of years. And since you're in the process of adopting or considering new writing, one of the things and the limitations, there's a statement about that this does not limit Commissioners' Court in determining whether or not to enter into an abatement agreement. This is a wonderful place to live, as you all know. I think you're going to start attracting more higher technology, alternative energy type of companies in here. So I think you need to, I would like for you to seriously consider putting more teeth into your guidelines. I come from the semiconductor industry with 30 years of experience in that as well as solar. There are things, I think, if I read that comment in A1, you don't have to follow your guidelines if you don't want to. But I think in order to protect the citizens of Hood County and your environment, that you might want to seriously consider adding things that are minimum requirements with folks involved in alternative energy as well as high technology. So I would say that anybody that comes in that wants an abatement that's from higher technology, electronics, semiconductor, alternative energy, that you make some requirements about their identifying any of the toxic materials that they'll be working with, materials, gases, what have you, and they give you a plan on how they're going to handle, store, and process those substances along with any equipment, and just as important, how they're going to decommission it in the future, so that the county's not left with some waste that you don't want in the landfill or the surrounding property areas. So that's to me, is very important, having come from that industry, and I think you have some probably excellent sources of information on what should be said or added to the guidelines from folks like in Travis County, where you have the big Samsung semiconductor plant there, National Semiconductor, and also even closer, your neighboring county up here, Grayson County, where Texas Instruments is putting in a $6 billion wafer fab. Having come from that industry and at one time working for TI, they follow some pretty strict guidelines on the types of substances that they're handling. So I just think the guidelines are okay, but I really think you need to consider putting in some specific requirements of any companies that are coming here asking for an abatement, that they provide you with information on how they're going to handle these substances. They can be done well if there are guidelines, but right now I don't see anything that's a requirement. And I would strongly encourage you to do that. I would also suggest that if someone is asking for an abatement that's handling any kind of toxic substances, chemicals, gases, that you consider not allowing a facility to come within a half mile of a registered reservoir or river basin. And if you look at Texas Code, Administration Code 360, there's some very specific guidelines about the designation of river and coastal basins, and that would give you a really good idea of how that is set aside. If someone comes in that wants to build a facility where these materials could potentially, in an accident or damage, leach themselves into like the Brazos River, okay, or Lake Granbury. So that's what I would ask that you seriously consider adding to your guidelines, is putting some teeth that there are some minimum requirements that someone comes in here that they must share with you. Identify those materials and how they're going to handle and dispose of them. Or you could be asking yourselves for trouble when if you have to clean up down the road. It's very expensive, and I don't think the county wants to pay for that. So thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thank you.
Sir, I got a question. Have you seen guidelines from Grayson County?
No, sir, I have not.
Because, they got Lake Texoma, the Red River up there. And
right, and that big plant's going in there. That's my hometown, by the way, but I could
too.
probably find that for you.
So where are you from?
I'm originally from Sherman, but I live here in Pecan Plantation.
Okay, so I'd be interested, I'll look into to see what their guidelines, if there's any. These are pretty much standard guidelines.
Mm-hmm.
And I think all we're doing today is just revising the date, but
Yeah.
but I'd be interested in seeing what they've done, so.
Okay. Would you like for me to try to obtain those for you, or you might have a more direct access than I would?
I'd do the same thing you'd have to do, so.
Okay.
If you
I'd
can
be
get them,
happy
I'd
to track them
appreciate it.
down for you.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
And what was the code you mentioned on the river basins?
It's Texas Administration Code 360, entitled Designation of River and Coastal Basins in Texas. And I think the Texas Water Board is where I did some research there on it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
The next speaker is John Highsmith.
Good morning. I'd like to just raise the overall question for you to consider, because as I see it, this is really kind of a reauthorization of what you've already had. And the big question is, do you really need these at all? And as I read through this, the big things that these provisions are trying to do is provide some way for handling, say, a brownfield site. So that's essentially land contaminated one time by industrial activity. And I don't really think you have that situation in Hood County. And the other big item that they're trying to accomplish with all this is to bring jobs into an area, okay? But I think let's really look at what we envision happening with Hood County. And the estimated 2023 population for Hood County is 64,724. And, I listened to the discussions about the new jail project, and you all are envisioning a significant growth here for Hood County. And I don't think there's any argument about that. And I was trying to get a handle on, so what does that mean? Well, the DFW Metro, that is actually the fastest growing metro in the U.S. Okay, and they have 7.8 million in this whole metro area right now. By 2045, that's anticipated to grow to 11.2 million. And in Fort Worth, they've had a growth rate of 25% from 2010 to 2021. So the problem I see Hood County dealing with is managing growth, not attracting more people. As you have growth, the companies will follow. That's where they're going to go. So then why would you give tax holidays for projects in Hood County? I think that's really the thing that I would ask you to consider Because really, if you think about it, you need those tax revenues to pay for all this growth that you pretty much know is coming. And then finally, I think another issue in this whole discussion or consideration is the fairness. Why should, a small company not get a tax abatement? I mean, because if you read the thing, it's kind of designed for people coming in and offering a lot of jobs. Well, you could have 10 small companies come in and give you just as many jobs as the big company. So I'm not quite sure, is it really even fair to do this? And just I'll close it out with this. There has been a study done on 311, 312, and what they found was 90 to 95% of the companies that took advantage of it would have done that anyway. So the fact that they got the tax abatement really wasn't a deciding factor. They were already going to do it. So then the question is, so why should Hood County give up tax revenue? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, next is Cynthia Highsmith.
Judge and Commissioners, I want to thank you for allowing us to have the opportunity to come up and speak about the tax guidelines. And believe it or not, John and I are married, and we did ride in the car together, and we do live together, and how we come up with two different things. Go figure. Anyway, okay, so looking at tax codes 312 and the sunsetted 313, the reason for developing these tax codes was that they wanted to increase primary employment in areas that were blighted. I do not consider Hood County blighted. We lived in Harris County, we lived in Fort Bend County, and we know what blighted is. You don't have brownfields here, and you don't have rundown inner city areas here. So just keep that in mind, and I feel that 312 and 313 were not intended to give tax givebacks to companies that would come here anyway. As John talked about the growth, and this is a drop-dead beautiful county, and I love living here. It's so pretty, and the land conditions are favorable, the prices are favorable. They may seem high to you guys, but when I came here, I thought, boy, we are getting some bargains for the beauty here. So in saying all that, I went back and I looked at the tax guidelines, and they haven't changed. And I read the ones from the previous 2 years and the previous 2 to that, and they're all the same. And I think with everything that's happened in the county, there probably needs to be some changes. And what I'm talking about is when I look at the first page and I look at the resolutions, and they talk about in the second resolution, they say that, one of the purposes is new jobs will be created in the county. And I say, well, then fence that in. What do you mean by new jobs? 2 jobs, or do you mean 200 jobs? And I say, fence it in, at least 200 jobs, if not 400 jobs. So that's something to think about. And then you also, in the next statement, it says, whereas tax abatements provides a valuable economic tool for use by the county and others interested in supporting and creating jobs in Hood County. Again, you're talking about jobs, job creation. So fence it in. I think that the people of Pecan have a real hard time with seeing 2,476 acres go to a solar farm or solar facility, and it's going to create 2 jobs, and the GRISD waives those 2 jobs. So that does not set well. Okay, then I look over in the review process. Well, the first thing in the review process, the first thing that's talked about is employment impact. So you say, how many jobs will this project bring to Hood County? Well, define that. What do you mean by that? Do you mean 2 jobs? You're going to give a tax abatement for 2 jobs? Or it's 400 jobs and you're going to give a tax abatement? And then it says, what types of jobs will the project create? So do we want minimum wage jobs to come here? Or do you want, jobs and that better paying jobs for Hood County? So I think that, you need to define some of these things. And when it comes down to community impact, so you have employment impact, impact, and community impact. And it all seems very subjective to me. There's nothing objective. You say, what effect will the project have on the local housing market? Well, how are you looking at that? How are you defining that? Is that just thoughts, or are you going to consult realtors? So I'm asking you to really look at this and put some objectivity to it. And last but not least is, what economic impact, if any, will this project create? So you heard Ms. Hill talk about the impact of the solar facility, and it's not a little thing. When you're talking about putting a utility on a river, that's enormous. And, the biggest problem the next 50 years for Texas is going to be water. We are going to have a water problem. So we certainly cannot look at possible contamination of a river. And to say the last, Ms. Hill and her sister, who does field studies, not desktop studies. She actually goes out and does the field studies. And so when you're talking about environmental impact, I certainly do hope you're not going to, allow somebody to get away with the desk study and not do a field study on what's going to happen. Okay, I've said it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next, David Potter.
Morning, Judge, Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to talk to you. I have a handout for you here, Judge.
Okay. Yes, I will.
Judge, I come to talk to you about the proposed solar farm going in across from Pecan Plantation. There's an awful lot of people that are like me and my wife who have made major investment into Pecan Plantation to be retired, to live there, to enjoy the wildlife and the scenery, and all of that's going to go away because it's going to be directly across the river from my house. And when people go up to the Pecan Plantation Clubhouse and set out on that beautiful patio, they're going to get to look at 6.5 square miles of nothing but solar panels. That's really going to make it. So what's going to happen here, Judge, is that there's going to be a devaluation of all the property along the river and definitely in Pecan. And if you're looking at just a 10% devaluation of property, the county's going to lose an awful lot of tax money, and that should be considered. The other issue is that the solar farm as such is just solar panels, which means it only works during the daylight hours. I have a very good friend who's a head engineer at the nuclear plant who went through the bad winter we had with no power and stated that these type of facilities don't do us any good unless they have storage. Now, this company, as far as I know, has not said they're going to put in battery storage. So this thing is only going to work during the day. But what happens with a facility like this is they come and build it, they get their money, they turn around and sell it to a large power industry who comes in and adds batteries and whatever else they're going to add to it, and basically turns it into an industrial facility. An industrial facility should not be hundreds of feet from one of the premier subdivisions in the county of Hood County or any other subdivision in Hood County. There's a lot of places in this county this could be built and not affect or potentially affect what it's going to affect now. If this facility puts in batteries, they're going to be putting batteries that look like semi-trucks. These are huge batteries. So this battery is made out of lithium. Lithium is very hazardous, and as a research chemist for Texaco Chemical for years and 40 years experience in water and industrial wastewater treating, I'm telling you that if a fire gets started over there, which can happen very easily, these batteries hit about 105 degrees, they're gone. They start burning, you are not going to put them out. They're proposing to have 2 people over there. They're not even going to be there all the time. They're going to monitor it with computer and with drones. So if something happens, you're not going to be able to do anything about it. Now, with a prevailing southeast wind, you're looking at all those toxics blowing right into Pecan. And the 2 major toxics you're talking about is hydrofluoric and hydrochloric acid, the 2 most powerful mineral acids known to mankind. And it doesn't take a lot of parts per million to make life really bad on the other side of the river. So now you're talking about another East Palestine, Ohio type incident with people having to be taken out of their houses. This also opens the door for an awful lot of legal problems for the county and the people who live there. So I would ask you to dig in your heels and let these people build their solar farm, but they don't have to build it right across from Pecan Plantation. It just doesn't have to be. It's a bad place to put it. There's so many other better places to put it that are out in the country away from developed areas. You're also going to have destruction of the natural habitat. There's eagles that nest along the river there, and the destruction of that habitat will occur. And under the federal wildlife, game and fish people, you cannot destroy bald eagle habitat. Can't happen. Now the thing is, it doesn't make any sense to me, is the feds won't do anything until the habitat's destroyed. Then that's when they'll act. And that's not going to do anybody any good. So I would just put before you to please consider this thing, and thank you so much for your time. I appreciate all of you.
Thank you. Okay. Is there any other discussion here in this public meeting? If not, at 20 minutes after 10, we will convene back into Commissioner's Court. So now that we're back in Commissioner's Court, does any commissioner have anything to say?
Yeah, Judge, I've got a little bit. I was approached about this idea and started looking into it a little bit, and something that's pretty common in these abatement procedures is called a Phase 1 environmental sensitivity assessment, where somebody comes in and has to see all the agencies that are at play here, just like you were talking about the wildlife, fish and game kind of things, Texas Parks and Wildlife Department, the EPA, TCEQ. Anyway, they have to come together and put all these into what all players are going to be involved and what's going to happen. And I haven't had a whole lot of time to research and dig into this, but this is typically something that's involved in this type of proposal. And then also to touch on, I believe it was Ms. Highsmith had mentioned that what is the standard for the property value impact. I think that's something that needs to be spelled out in how is that study done, how is that assessment performed, what are we looking to get from those numbers. And I think that's something that we need to kind of consider when moving forward with this. So, Dave, you had mentioned wanting to take a look at some of this, I'd be willing to look at it with you if you're.
I agree. There's some things, besides the things that were mentioned here that I think would put a lot more teeth into this. There are, just looking through it and reading through it, there are some just mistakes that need to be cleaned up. On page 7, there's a mistake, and there's just a couple of mistakes in here. Page 16 is missing. I don't know why it's missing, if there's a form missing or what, but I think there's some things that need to be cleaned up as well as tightened up as far as being more specific on the things that Kevin and some of the people that spoke have discussed. Just kind of overall, I agree with one of the speakers, I think it was Mr. Highsmith, that I do believe there's, we're going to grow. That's a given. And, Hood County is growing as fast as people say. Then do we really need to offer abatements? I mean, jobs go where there's companies go where there's people, and just let the economy work. And, I don't see why we need to burden taxpayers unfairly by picking and choosing winners that we give tax abatements to. So I just think the government needs to get out of the way and let the economy grow, and the businesses will follow the people, and the people will follow jobs. So I would move that we table this for another time until we can look into either not doing it at all or making it very much more robust so that people that want to apply for a tax abatement would know exactly what their responsibilities are.
I'll second your motion.
Made by Commissioner Samuelson to table the 2023-2025 Hood County Tax Abatement Guidelines, second by Commissioner Eagle. Any further discussion?
Yes, Judge, if you don't mind. Since I started my second term in January, and since I've been on the Commissioners Court and prior to that, when I got onto the court initially, I had some very strong feelings about abatements and the government getting involved at all. I believe in the free market, and a very strong supporter of Milton Friedman and Austrian School of Economics. And when this first came to our attention a couple of years ago, I kind of softened my viewpoint about an abatement, because we were talking about property at that time, and we already did an agreement a couple of years ago that was really not generating tax revenue much anyway. And I have to confess, I don't think I really looked into it strongly enough, because we weren't being presented with alternative viewpoints. But I thought, well, if we got a piece of property out here they're not really using it, and we're getting, just for sake of illustration, $10 an acre taxes on county tax on it, and we give somebody an abatement for, which it's a tiered deal that after 10 years it goes back to full effect, but 10 years later the properties would bring in $200 an acre. The economics, at least at that time, sounded, well, maybe that's something to reconsider. I still like Commissioner Samuelson's, what she says kind of music to my ears, because really I'm kind of coming back to where it was when I started. I'm not sure we should be in the abatement business, and I'm not sure that we should be in the bring in more business, because the government never does anything very well. And who do we think we are by thinking we can come in and attract businesses? I know that I'll have disagreement with some who are in government on that, but I think the market takes care of itself. The biggest thing the government can do is get the heck out of the way. So I got one fan out there, one non-fan, but so hey, that just equalized. But anyway, that's kind of my comment. I think we need to, at least, I'm real curious about the, and I'm from Denison, by the way, and I think y'all beat us more than we beat you, but I don't remember the.
I can always tell an old yellow jacket from.
Anyway, I upon seconding her motion, I just think we don't have anything pending at the moment. I haven't heard from Yellow Viking in a while, so if we spend a little time revisiting this, I think it's a good idea.
Any other comment or discussion? All those in favor of the motion to table, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Motion carries 5-0 to table the motion to approve or adopt the Hood County Tax Abatement Guidelines. Lastly, item number 9, discuss and take appropriate action to allow Mission, Granbury, and CASA of Hood, Somerville counties to place CASA blue flags and blue spotlights around the courthouse and a journey display for the month of April, which is Child Abuse Prevention Month. Additionally, allow the Paluxy River Children's Advocacy Center to place blue ribbons around the square for the same period of time. And we have the same illustrious group of people here, and Ms. Jean Kate, our queen, please.
We are so pleased to be able to come to you with this again this year. Child abuse awareness and sexual abuse is horrific, and it's something that we all need to do everything that we possibly can to alleviate. And these groups that work together so well and come up with plans to help assist the people in our community. And we appreciate the opportunity to call attention to this problem by placing the blue flags, the blue lights, and the Paluxy River Children's Advocacy Center blue ribbons. And they got very smart this year. You've seen before, we had the big, heavy wooden ones.
Tracy, you want to tell her what we're doing this year?
No, you can go ahead if you were.
You got it? The description of the
Oh, okay.
ribbons.
I think what Jean was saying is we now have some aluminum type blue ribbons that will be up, so hopefully we won't, the goal is for them not to be falling down and be broken and those type of things this year. So we're really excited about that, and we had it all donated, so we're very excited.
We appreciate your consideration of our request.
I think it looks very nice, and it's always been a real nice display, and it really brings the awareness to the people of Hood County, and the visitors that are in too, they ask about it. So it's a very important topic and something that we all should be wanting to do something about. So I'm very much in favor of it. So does anybody wish to add anything to this? If not, do I hear a motion?
So I'll make a motion to allow Mission Granbury and CASA of Hood, Somerville County to place CASA blue flags and blue spotlights around the courthouse and a journey display for the month of April, which is Child Abuse Prevention Month.
Second.
There's still a little bit more.
Oh, well, I'm trying to make sure I get in on this, so.
Additionally, allow the Paluxy River Children's Advocacy Center to place blue ribbons around the square for the same period of time.
Second.
Okay.
There you go, Kevin.
Okay. Well, Kevin, I'm very sorry.
Missed
So the
my
motion
chance.
to allow Mission Granbury and CASA to place, and I love this, the blue flags, the blue spotlights around the courthouse and a journey display for the month of April, which is Child Abuse Month, and allow the Paluxy River Children's Advocacy Center to place blue ribbons. It's going to be a very nice display around the square for the same period. Second by Commissioner Wilson. That's the right time, you know. So
Yeah, went
any
too
further
early there.
discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed to this? No opposition whatsoever. Approved unanimously, 5-0. Thank you all for coming down here and making us all aware of this. Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, that concludes Commissioners Court.